What are signs of depression that aren't talked about? Memory loss. I honestly can't remember half of my life. Edit. I didn't expect so many people to react. Not everyone has this, and that's okay. We all struggle with our mental illnesses in different ways. As long as we seek help, get better, and educate others, that's all that matters. Yes. I don't feel like people talk about this nearly enough. I have huge gaps in my recollection, and a lot of other parts of my memory are muddled together. Edit. I didn't expect this to resonate with so many people. I don't have enough information to answer some of the questions going around, but from my own experience, my memory loss is pretty closely tied to depressive episodes. So for example, everything from 2008-10 and 2014-16 are a jumbled mess with whole events completely missing, as well as bits from my childhood. I do find it hard to create new memories, but I'm not unable to. They just aren't as vivid as the ones from 2007, for example. Agreed that both stress and age can impact memory, which can make it difficult to determine whether one factor is contributing more to the issue than another. I can't speculate on what's normal, but I think the reason I am not completely convinced it's stress or age-related for me is that the most significant gaps in my memory are closely aligned with depressive episodes. I do also think that depression can impact short-term memory. I saw a lot of comments about being unable to learn new things, and while I don't think that's necessarily my issue, I absolutely have problems remembering things I just learned in the days and weeks that follow. I have made it a habit to write down everything, no matter how insignificant it seems. And if it's work-related, I write it down on paper and then I write it again in a searchable format. I use OneNote. It makes me move like molasses at work, but that's the only way I can ensure that I don't screw up something important. I read every one of your comments, and while it makes me sad that we're all struggling, I hope some of you walked away feeling comforted that you're not just dumb or absent-minded as you might have been led to believe. I hope you'll at least explore the possibility that there are other factors at play with a therapist. That last part hit home. It's like 2004 to 2014 is just one big blur. Often I can't recall if specific situation happened when I was 15 or let's say 23 years old. It's one of the many things that definitely improved when I overcame my depression. Same. I don't have any problems remembering all the events of my life, but I cannot put them in chronological order, or I can't tell how long ago something has happened. Stress can do this too. Bad bouts of anxiety or stress will knock chunks of my memory out more effectively than a baseball bat. If I know I just did something too stressful, immediately after I'll go over the major details again and again and again in my head. It's the only way I'll have any idea what happened a few days later. Stress and depression often go hand in hand, too. I had unbelievable brain fog and memory loss. Brain fog should be talked about too. I felt like I lost about 20 IQ points. Absolutely. I went from a solid A to B+, student to nearly failing several classes in high school once depression hit. Then I went through another episode in my first year of university and actually did fail a class, and barely scraped by in 2 others. I just couldn't focus or think about anything. It's like my mind was wrapped in a wet gray blanket. It's brutal. It similarly affected my work. When I'm on a manic upswing, it's like I don't even have to try to think. I'm unbelievably efficient and flawless at work, and basically any other part of my life. Everything is so easy to do. Then depression hits and I can't produce half as much. Everything is riddled with errors. I try to adjust by double and triple checking everything and taking my time to avoid mistakes, but they miraculously appear everywhere anyways, and my boss wonders WTF happened, and in the overtones of I really don't want to have to fire you. But you can't keep doing this. I'm in one of those at the moment. Senior developer, can run a team, can write multiple languages and systems with no issue. Right now I can barely type to string, without messing it up somehow. Yep, short-term memory loss. When I am in a major depression, I must write everything down. I had to write everything down at work or I would completely forget things. My colleagues made fun of my notebook and my boss would joke with my peers about how I could only handle doing one thing at a time. I was just trying my best. I am sorry. That was very unprofessional of them. I quit a job after underperforming for a year and tried to redirect my life. But you cannot quit recurrent major depression. This is one of the few answers here that I genuinely feel is never mentioned. Despite having been depressed off and on for probably 20 years, some of that severely, no therapist or doctor ever told me that my memory issues could be related. I spent easily 75% of my life thinking I was just depressed and stupid/lazy before finding out this was an actual symptom. Absolutely. I've had bouts of depression on and off for the last 12 years, and it's so hard to piece together what happened when because the depressed times are so foggy. I have a great memory when not depressed, so it's really difficult. Luckily SNRIs are great. And yet you can probably remember in detail everything that brings about feelings of embarrassment or shame. I know I deal with that. I don't want to be Dr. Reddit Armchair, MD, but I will say that having a poor memory is a central symptom of ADHD, and depression and general anxiety are often a result of ADHD. Many people go to doctor wanting to get evaluated for these, and then later finding out the root of it ends up being ADHD. Not saying anyone in this thread has ADHD, but it's almost normal for people with ADHD to exist in everyday life at some level of depression. The 12 to 18 hours of sleep, and you still wake up feeling like crap. Try insomnia, plus depression. I have so much fun these days. Edit, rip my notifications. I'll raise you insomnia, plus chronic fatigue, plus depression/anxiety. It's a vicious cycle. That being said, my extra issues don't negate anybody else that has depression and/or anxiety. Mental health is no small task to handle, regardless of what other health concerns you do or don't have. Edit, spelling. Also thinking of you all who have the same/similar to me. It's not fun. But we're not alone. Take care of yourselves. You can tell by the way, I sleep all day. Might as well keep sleeping. There's no reason to get up. Is something I said to myself a lot when I was considering suicide a year ago. A messy room/never doing chores. Especially if you live on your own, not caring about cleanliness is a clear sign that you just don't care how you even feel about things anymore. My house is dirty. It's not just messy. Dirty. And as much as I try to convince myself to care, I don't. This one is so me. Laundry strewn over the floor, dust everywhere, bathroom sink has turned yellow with lime scale, no space on the kitchen countertops because they're covered in dirty dishes. Crap gets bad. Anger. Before I was diagnosed with depression, any small significant thing set me off, but since it would mainly happen while I was working, I had to bite my tongue. I would be in a rotten mood all the time. So, if someone starts to be really angry all the time or really only complains about situations they absolutely can't change, here's looking at you retail, and you notice they haven't genuinely been happy in a long time, it could be depression. Intense irritability/anger was one of my symptoms too. In my case, it took a mood stabilizer to really get it under control. Did it help? I've got my first appointment with a mental health professional next week. My anger/irritability has become more than I can handle. It did. It took some trial and error with different medications for me, so be patient if it isn't resolved immediately. As always, YMMV, but medication has definitely helped me. This is why I've found customer service jobs so emotionally taxing. You get pissed off sometime during your shift but still have to be sickeningly pleasant, which means that those feelings sometimes get vented to the people around you once you're clocked out, which makes it difficult to maintain good relationships. Yes, constant anger for years and a very short fuse. My poor husband and my poor kids did not deserve my lashings. Thing is, it was only when it turned into deep sadness and uncontrollable crying that I finally realized it was depression was all those years. SSRIs took care of it for a while, it was such a miracle. Now I think I need an increase in medication, but can't get it because I'm pregnant. Hopefully it's just the hormones making things worse. Still not as bad as before meds though. Rumination. This is a big one for me. It's where you replay all of the painful and embarrassing things you've ever done in your life over and over again. It's a terribly difficult thing to stop doing because you don't actually realize you're doing it most of the time. You just think you are having the same normal thoughts everyone else is having. I finally developed my own technique for stopping it, and it's worked pretty well for a couple of years now. How? How do you stop? I still relive memories from 20+ years ago that I just can't get out of my head. It sucks. This symptom usually comes with diurnal variation. You'll get relief late at night, so sleep is easy. Then wake up at the crack of dawn, perhaps 2 hours earlier than usual, back at square one reliving all your greatest hits of ifupes. Here is the link to my original post. The toughest part is trying to realize it's happening while it's happening. Web link. Being comfortable being so uncomfortable in life. Wanting to be happy and have a great life. But being comfortable in your misery and not having the energy or willingness or care to change it. Edit. Can't believe my highest voted comment is about how my head works. It's at 7 something thousands upvotes and a load of comments. If anything, it's good to not feel alone. I hope each and every one of you can get something from the comments. Even if it is just that. You're not alone. You can't fall if you never leave rock bottom. We can dig. Ever heard of bedrock? You can't break through it. /gamma mode creative. Dig to the void and suddenly all your problems will go away. Definitely this. Like the why aren't you trying to get better because what does better feel like? It sounds scary and unknown. Depression is familiar, and numb. I can believe I don't matter, never leave my bed, and I will never disappoint anyone because no one will expect anything of me. Learning to be okay with being okay is effing hard. And then I get suspicious anytime things are good. Like, I'm going to mess it up. I know it. I might as well give up now. Anytime things are good feels like I'm constantly just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel this so hard it hurts. For me it's not just the fear of feeling better, it's the fear of letting go, the constant self-hate and anxiety because my brain goes, and what have I done to deserve this feeling of comfort and satisfaction? I was a whoops kid. My parents messed up in birth control, and so I arrived and they were forced to be together. My mom never intended to stay with my dad, who she was using as a rebound boyfriend. I was also the dumbest kid in the family, so I've grown up being screamed at for A, being the reason why my parents had to get together, B, also for embarrassing my parents repeatedly with bad grades, up until I forced myself to do better at school but became an unsocialized and awkward teen who'd say/do the wrong thing and embarrass my parents further. Literally from the ages 4 to 21 I never went through a single day without getting shouted at. If it wasn't about my dismal report cards, it was about me forgetting to make my bed, or forgetting to wash the dishes, or for not doing enough to keep my younger siblings out of trouble. I used to even tense up whenever my parents fought, which was often because afterwards my mother loved to come after me to scream that it was all my fault. So I literally lived my whole life, still do, completely convinced that if I don't watch everything I do and constantly check for things that haven't been done/slipped out of my mind, then something bad is going to happen and it'd be my fault for letting it happen. Inability to make a simple decision. Some nights I struggle for hours trying to figure out what to eat for dinner. For real though, why is it so hard to decide what to eat when I only eat the same handful of foods? Because you don't really want to eat but your body is telling you that you have to. It's because depression had a friend named executive dysfunction. Sometimes sleep is my meal. I can get so worked up about eating that when I do it makes me gag or struggle to swallow, so it's easier just to go to sleep instead of eating. These days I've turned to soup as the solution, takes no time to make, creates very few dishes to wash, pan, bowl, spoon, and it makes sure that physical malaise doesn't add to the mental. When you're depressed you don't look after yourself, so some of that rundown feeling is physical. Soup is my go-to. I typically make a variety from scratch and freeze the leftovers, when I'm mentally in a good place. That way I have something nutritious I can eat when I just cannot make anything else. Extra fun if you have depression and digestive issues. Hard to motivate yourself into spending your non-existent reserves of emotional energy deciding what to eat when you know that, no matter what it is, it'll probably make you sick anyway. Oh, that's me. I'm living off homemade protein shakes these days because my appetite is gone. When I browse Yelp for hours and end up at Taco Bell or McDonald's. Inability to focus. Imagine having to do homework but other members of your family are having a conversation. All attention goes to the conversation. Then you realize that you're listening to the conversation and not doing homework, so you spend time mentally beating yourself up because you can't even focus for 1 freaking minute? I can't believe how far I have to scroll to find this, but I guess it goes to show just how little this symptom is associated with depression. When I'm having a depressive episode, not only does my memory lapse, but I also get extremely unfocused. Almost like confused? Which can make me a very irritable and short-tempered. It can be tiring and make even the simplest tasks so difficult. Not having any emotions or convictions at all. Being bored. People associate depression with profound sadness, but especially if it's chronic, that's only a small part of depression. You get to the point where you can't feel anything at all. You don't get happy or sad, frightened or excited. You exist without feeling. Imagine living your life not being able to pay attention to anything because it's so boring: your hobbies, friends, job, your life. Imagine being perpetually bored and only bored, being unable to feel anything but that and occasional, crushing misery. I think that's what people don't get about depression. That it gets so bad that being really sad is actually almost a relief. You put into words exactly what I've been feeling. Perpetual boredom. Ugh, it's so awful. The fact that it is a genuine challenge most days to brush your teeth, shower, brush your hair, etc. because you wonder what's the point anymore since your life isn't worth living anyways. Yeah. Thing is, I'm able to do things that entertain me, like using my phone for social media, or gaming, so nobody takes me seriously when I can't do simple hygiene stuff because I spend my whole life on my phone. I do the exact same, and I think it's because those things are a distraction from how I'm feeling. As soon as I have to stop distracting myself and actually do things, I also have to acknowledge the aspects of my life I was avoiding. It's also a weird mental block where my brain has decided that certain things require much more effort than they actually do. I've described it as my brain deciding that every small task you would do during the day is as exhausting as climbing 10 flights of stairs. I've been doing a little better lately by using a habit-building app and setting myself a goal with a reward at the end. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.